Hello, everybody, and welcome to this evening's edition of the Butterfly Princess Show. This evening, we're chatting about the latest production of All Saints Elton Theatre Group's latest play called A Bunch of Amateurs. This play is being performed at Orwell House, the sort of the base of All Saints Elton Theatre Company, and it is being performed between Thursday the 26th of March till Sunday the 29th of March, and I'm joined by Andrew this evening, who's going to talk with me about it. You know, I love talking about the productions that All Saints put on. So a bit of a background about what the play is about. So A Bunch of Amateurs is a comedy that delves deep into the world of community theatre, blending satire and heartfelt moments to create an unforgettable theatrical experience. When fading Hollywood star Jefferson Steele finds himself in desperate need of a career revival, his agent lands him a role in a British production of King Lear. Expecting a prestigious performance, Steele is shocked to discover he's actually joining an amateur dramatics group in a quaint English village. The play's charm lies in the clash between Steele's energetic Hollywood persona and the earnest, dedicated and quirky villagers who are passionate about the craft of misunderstanding and mishaps into moments of unexpected credentials. A Bunch of Amateurs is a roller coaster of emotions that showcases the resilience and spirits of amateur actors. The play masterfully balances humour with poignant reflections on the pursuit of dreams, the fear of failure, and the importance of finding one's place in the world. The comic elements are perfectly timed with physical comedy, sharp dialogue, and humour that will have audiences in stitches. And if you go, you're guaranteed to have an evening full of laughter, tears, and theatrical magic. So, hi Andrew, thank you for joining us today. Yes, so obviously I've just explained a bit about what the play is about. But how first of all, how realistic is it? Because you know that your All Saints Theatre Company is an amateur dramatics theatre company. So, what's it like performing a play that is about amateur dramatics theatre? It must be something that you feel right at home with, being part of an actual amateur dramatics company.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head. I mean, yeah, it's really it's ideally suited for an amateur dramatics company to do a play about an amateur dramatic society. I think it would be harder for a professional, shall we say, society to get down to that level of amateur dramatics. So it's like natural for us as amateurs to perform it in the way it should be. We're not having to make as much of an effort, I suppose, to fit the roles. It is an extremely funny play. It's been an absolute pleasure to be involved in, and I'm delighted that we've got this together. But yeah, again a completely different concept to anything we've ever done, where you're actually rehearsing a play within a play. It's a play about rehearsing a play. that you then perform at the end. It's quite quite different.
So could you give us a bit of a sort of a short description of, because obviously the main character Jefferson Steele is sort of like, he thinks he's a much more prestigious actor, but he's going to be working with people who are, a lot more amateur sort of thing. So that must be, it must bring a lot of personality clashes within the group.
Yeah, I think the thing to really focus on or remember when you're watching the play or before any conceptions that you might have is that Jefferson Steele has a almighty massive ego, which is far bigger than anything he's ever done in the past, and therefore when he finds himself not in the situation that his agent led him to believe, he's absolutely mortified and obviously considers himself well above anybody else in that production, until eventually he realizes no, it's just about feelings and emotions, and eventually he realizes, you know what, I'm not the big I am, and these are the guys that deserve the respect. And he without giving stuff away, I don't want to give too many spoilers, So yeah, but in the first place, yeah, he's just an egomaniac who thinks he has produced the most fantastic films, and he then realized, he's brought back down to earth with a bang.
And so how are rehearsals going? And obviously, because as we're talking this evening, it's only a week till the opening night. So what has that been like with working with the other actors in the play, the production, the directors?
Well, clearly we're at the business end of it now. We've got a week literally to prepare, and you just don't realize how time can catch up with you. You really do think, oh, that's ages away, but it just flies by. And as much as you can prepare, and obviously with any amateur performance, we've got our own lives and work and commitments and everything else. So it can be difficult. Not everybody can be at the rehearsals. People have reasons for not being there. We've done our best. We've put a lot of work into it. But it's always that push of getting that script out of your hand. It's a comfort blanket for any actor, clearly, especially amateurs. So it's going well, but we do need to, it's a final push, if you like. I'm confident that we'll pull it off, and we always do tend to.
Yeah. And what is the cast like? Is it a small cast? Is it a big cast?
So,
is it like working with a small or a large cast? Because with All Saints, I know they've put on a number of different sized productions.
yeah, if we're doing a grand musical like Beauty and the Beast, Guys and Dolls, you need a few people. You need people that might otherwise not have been involved for ensemble. And I've been involved in that. This is a relatively small cast, and the idea being that certain roles are, you're not doing more than one character, but you might be doing more than one character in the play that you're rehearsing for, So, but yeah, it's a small cast. I think there's only 5 of us, if I remember correctly. And we are on stage most of the time, all of the time together. There's very few slots where everybody isn't involved. I think everybody's involved in pretty much every scene apart from 1 or 2. So that's helped as well, because you're not stood around waiting for your bit, and everybody's got a lot of lines to learn. There are some very big parts in that, and no small ones. So
And what has it been like working like with the director and the whole production team?
Well, for the most part, for the most of the productions I've been involved in, Andy Milnthorpe has been our director, and luckily we've had him for many years before I joined, and he stayed with the company. In recent years, we've tried to bring on other people in directing roles, and this time Rebecca has fortunately stepped in to direct on this occasion. We did start with a different director to start with, but for whatever reason he couldn't continue. Don't need to go into detail. And then Rebecca and Andy to an extent took over, but Rebecca's been the mainstay on this, and so this is the first time that I'll have been involved in anything that Rebecca's directed in. So we do encourage other people to get involved in other roles. But the point is, we're doing this for a social activity, for fun, for pleasure. So we're never not going to get along. There's no egos within the amateur, group. There's no falling out. We all get along. We're all friends. So it's always irrespective. Whoever is doing the directing, we'll always get along, and there's never any conflicts.
And obviously, this play is being performed at all the sort of the base of All Saints. So was it like performing in like a smaller space? Because I know when All Saints have put bigger productions on like musicals, they take it to the Met, but for smaller productions, they tend to be performed at the base of All Saints. So what's that like to be performing on a smaller space rather than on a bigger stage?
Well, I don't think any of us are used to performing or expect to perform on a huge stage. It's not the Palladium. No, none of the places. It's the Met is certainly the biggest stage or venue that I've ever been involved in, and like I say, for the most part, it was the Theatre Royal in Ramsbottom, which was still a smallish theatre, shall we say? I mean, plenty more seats than All Saints House. But so and I say, luckily we have an amazing backstage crew that take care of staging, and they've done a great job. And frankly, there's not much difference in stage area between what we're used to at, say, Theatre Royal in Ramsbottom. All right, the Met's slightly bigger, but it's when you look at if you did see, I think for the type of play it is, what I'm trying to get at is you don't need a big stage, because the idea is that they are performing themselves in a converted barn. So they, in the actual production, they're not performing on a big stage, because the point is it's a small amateur theatre group. So our little hall is ideal again for that. It sets the right tone.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, Andrew, or if you know about any of this for penultimate question is because All Saints did put on a number of theatre productions throughout the year, and I always do the interviews leading up to that performance. And you have a wide variety of different productions each year. So how is that sort of deciding what productions you're going to put on each year? Do you get asked for your input as members? And
Yeah, I mean, I think from my own experience, I've not been involved in everything. Nobody can be involved in everything, and I personally took a step back for a couple of years, from more demanding roles, if you like, and this is my first, if you like, leading role for All Saints. I've never been a cast as a lead before. As for it is generally the committee that will decide, but they'll consider the people that we've got. You know, what can we produce with the people we have got? Yeah, we'll bring in external people. We'll obviously advertise for auditions, but then also, so I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, and numbers of cast. Yeah, we'll try and do a production if it's on a bigger stage that involves more people than this, for example, which is a small cast. But in generally speaking, it really is a case of, you know, what the company can afford, what they can realistically put on in terms of costume, staging, lighting, music. You know, you know, the sad fact is that it costs a lot of money, rights, scripts to put on these shows. So, you know, that has to be factored in as well. Yeah, they'll gladly take our input on board, and we have done that in the past, and everybody's got their own favourites. But the committee has to be realistic in what we can realistically achieve based on the number of tickets we can sell, you know, number of seats we can fill. So,
and one final question, Andrew, is sort of there are a lot of members within, you know, All Saints Elton Theatre company, and I suppose many people have joined the company for various different reasons. Most of it, I presume, being a social aspect. So, what made you want to get involved with this company in particular?
well, to answer that, in all honesty, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I had no intention of being involved in any amateur dramatic society. I hadn't even considered the possibility until about, I think it was 8 years ago, and the All Saints were doing a production of Oliver, and they needed some children to be in like Fagan's gang. At the time, my children were 9 years old. How old are they now? Yeah, they're 17 now. Yeah, they were like 9 years old, and they hadn't done anything like this before. But I brought them along. Before I knew it, I was sat down with the music book in my hand. I start singing, and Andy Milthorpe generously decides, would you mind taking a little speaking part? And that's it. I stumbled, you know, literally stumbled on it. And yeah, it is a social thing. It is, you know, from a personal point of view, it is not something I imagine doing, but it's a joy to be part of. So if that answers your question, I stumbled across it. You know, I did some drama in high school. I was Jesus in Godspell when I was 15. But then I never considered anything after that until literally 8 years ago, and the rest is history.
And I suppose there's something in this group for everyone, because we don't just do adult productions, we do youth theatre productions as well.
They do what? Sorry, Steph?
We do youth theatre productions as well, so we do a lot of work with younger people.
Oh, sorry, yeah. We I mean that's becoming more and more established as the years go by. Again, we always try to involve younger performers in shows, but now we do have a specific All Saints Elton youth group, which again run very graciously by a couple of the cast members that are in this production next week. I believe it's thriving, and it's needed. You know, again, I believe it's very popular, and hopefully that brings, you know, that helps the company as a whole to continue long into the future when we've decided to, you know, hang up our acting boots.
I think Laura has joined us when we were talking, so I'd like to bring Laura in now if I can.
You can.
Laura, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Hi, Laura.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me. I understand that you was a bit running late, but
Yes,
me and
sorry.
Andrew have, no problem at all. So me and Andrew have like discussed the play and sort of. So could you tell us a bit about the character you're playing and of course what you get out of us being part of the All Saints Elton Theatre Company?
Yeah, of course. So I'm playing the part of Dorothy. So Dorothy runs she's the chair, I guess, or the director of the theatre company in a bunch of amateurs. She used to be, I think, a bit of a backstory about her is that she used to be on the stage. She used to be really into theatre, but so she got divorced and she'd kind of put her heart and soul into this small rundown, barn that she's turned into a theatre, and he's trying to run a good local theatre company, amateur dramatics. Yeah, she's got really inner steel in herself, really. I think she's put everything into this. She's even mentions that she has put her mortgage, got a second mortgage to actually try and keep this theatre going. So as the story goes, they need something, they need a boost. They're gonna close this small theatre of theirs, or a barn really, and they need a big name to keep it going, and that's where Andrew's character comes in, brought in from the States. So and the sort of story goes on from there. But yeah, it's I've really enjoyed playing this role. It's a good character to have. They're all really good characters. It is a comedy. It's really well written. Ian Hislop was one of the writers for it. I don't know whether you've mentioned this before, but yeah, good writing. They're all good roles. Each character has their own. Is funny in their own ways, different ways. It's great. It's great to be part of. It's a really good cast. So I've really enjoyed working on this one. So yeah, that's a bit about the character and the play from my point of view.
Yeah, and of course, with you just mentioning it, it's been written by somebody, but it was also a film in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I believe it was. I've not watched it, actually. Me and Andrew was actually looking at some clips from it actually recently, but I've not actually watched the whole film. But yeah, I believe it was. So yeah, it's I think it's a bit different.
It's Burt Reynolds played the character.
That's right.
Played.
Yeah,
and it was a very good cast. Samantha Bond. Trying to think of some others now.
Yeah.
But it's very, although it's not strictly in keeping with the script of the play. It's pretty much the same. Obviously, it's the same plot, but you get to see things in the movie that you don't see in the play.
Yeah.
But it all ties in, and you can totally watch the movie and understand. Yeah, that's entirely the same as the play, essentially. But they've obviously just changed things to maybe make it, I don't know, just change things so it's a movie rather than a play in a barn,
Yeah.
Yeah, and sort of asked this question to Andrew, Laura, before you came in. So, how did you become involved with, All Saints Elton Theatre, and what do you sort of get out of it from being a member? And
Yeah, so I've been involved with Elton for maybe 16 years. A member of All Saints Society. I joined because I saw it in the Bury Times. Actually, I'd moved up from London. I was in an amateur drama group when I lived in London for a couple of years after university, and I came back home. And saw an advert. It was a few years later, and I saw an advert for Hello Dolly. They wanted members to be in the the main, you know, the backing, the chorus for Hello Dolly. So I just went along, and that was it really. I was made to feel really welcome. I mean, yeah, like I say, it was 15 years ago, and that's was it. That's been it since. I've always been involved, even if I'm not in one of the shows. I always try to keep involved. So I'm the ticket secretary, or I'll offer to do front of house, or offer to do teas and coffees. You know, there's always lots of jobs backstage. So even when you're not in an actual production, there's still lots of things that people can get involved in, and they always need help with, like, you know, like I say, whether it's backstage, front of house, or costume, set design. There's lots of different roles that all this goes on in the background. So I've happily done those kind of jobs as well. So yeah, it's a great hobby for me to have. It's very different from my usual day-to-day job. I work in a very corporate environment, so this is an absolute, you know, release from all that sort of thing, office kind of job. And yeah, it's great. It's great to be part of, great to be involved in. I'd say to anyone, just, you know, give it a go, even if you didn't want to do necessarily to act. There's lots of things to do and to be involved in, and it's something that it doesn't matter whether you're, you know, how good you are, how old you are, how young you are. It's like it doesn't matter. There's always something. If you want to be a part of it, you can be part of it. So that's what I love about it. It's all ages, and it's all degrees of talent. You know, it's great.
Oh, well, thank you both of you for agreeing to talk with me tonight. So thank you both for your time.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Steph. If I may, though, Steph, can I just apologise, correct you on the actual days that we're performing? You got the dates right. It is the 26th to the 29th, but that's the Wednesday to the Saturday.
Right, a Wednesday to the Saturday. And obviously, when I will be putting this out on my The Butterfly Princess Show Facebook page and, you know, YouTube channels. I don't know if Rebecca's told you anything about that, but I will include the link to Ticket Sorcerer.
Yeah, great. Oh, that's it. Yeah. Superb. Thank you very much for your time, Steph.
Okay, thank you both. Have a lovely rest of your evening.
Thank you, and you both.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.